Hey guys, I'm here having coffee with my dad just a couple days before I leave for New Zealand, and we were just talking about what an amazing country New Zealand is, and I'm just feeling so excited to put my feet on the land and the ground that received you, Dad, and your family when you were refugees from Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about your experience in New Zealand and what took you there.
Okay. What took us there was Qantas Airlines in the Lockheed Super Constellation, which at that time was a fantastic plane until the 707 Boeing came out, a jet.
Wait, back up. What was happening in Indonesia that made you have to go to New Zealand?
Indonesia got self-rule, and the government required conversion to Indonesian citizenship, or you had to leave the country. We were Dutch for 10 generations, and we were invited to leave. We were one of the last ones to leave.
But when they invited you to leave, they also invited you to leave all of your things and all of your money, correct?
You have to leave all your assets, yes.
What?
Clothes on your back, a little bit of money, get you going, but everything else stays.
Well, why didn't you go home to Holland?
Because it was war-torn, and most Dutch and Dutch Indonesians went to Holland. So the government in Holland asked any that could to migrate elsewhere.
Wow.
And we did. So we went to New Zealand. We landed initially, we took off from Palembang, which is in the island of Sumatra, in 1957. Landed in Perth, Australia, then Sydney, then Auckland, New Zealand, then Wellington, and then we took a boat from Wellington to Christchurch.
Wait, was that like a week-long trip?
The flight from Indonesia to Perth, I think, was probably 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then from Perth to Sydney is probably about 3 hours.
And you just had the clothes on your back? I mean, were you shipping stuff? I mean, but in Indonesia, what was your life like?
It was wonderful. We were the colonial power and treated well, pampered, but...
Until you were asked to leave and leave all your money.
Right. Exactly right. So,
wow.
That's what happened, and we were persona non grata. Not anymore, but then we were. All Dutch people were.
Wow.
And that's really the story. We went to Christchurch, lived on Avonhead Road, and then
But you didn't speak any English. And
spoke no English.
Your mom, your
Indonesian
dad,
and Dutch.
You, your brother, and your sister.
That's it.
And were there other refugees that went to New Zealand?
Not with us, but at least not on the plane. Never met any.
Wow.
But I'm sure there's probably some.
But you didn't know other Dutch people in school, or?
No. There were no Dutch people in my school.
And so what did your parents do? How did they get jobs? I mean, they didn't even speak any English.
They did. There are job placement organizations like there are here, and my father got a job at Goodyear.
Thank God to the New Zealand government, right?
There you go.
Wow.
And then my mom got a job in a sewing factory.
But what were they before in Indonesia?
My mom was a principal. My dad, at that time, was a developer and construction engineer. So,
wow.
Really high up, and he's also ex-policeman. And, so he took a long drop down, rode a bicycle to work, saved their money, bought a house. We all lived in a house in Avonhead, and which is our parcel was the original spring that started the water flow for the Avon River.
Wow.
Going through Christchurch. It's the same name as the Avon River in London. And lived there 3 years. Our visas for America came through, and we took a boat.
So the big goal was to get to America.
Right. This was just a sidestep.
Okay. And then you went from the land of paradise in New Zealand to...
We went from lush, beautiful green to a nondescript 4-unit, 2-story apartment complex in Los Angeles on La Mirada Street, and it was horrible. But in those days, living in America was, the whole world's goal, because it was the land, it was Camelot. Kennedy was... voted in as president. Everything was great. And so emotionally is where, we wanted to be on a relationship comparing to what we had, because we lived in a great spot. We had our own yard, orchard, chickens, everything. And we went to concrete pavement and a lot of smog. I never knew what smog was.
Wow.
Very painful.
Oh.
And
but thank God that the U.S. government then accepted you too, because at that point
it took 3 years. Yeah, we weren't wetbacks.
Oh.
We had to go in legally, and we did. So, and you know, and we all went to school.
But did you know how to speak English then when you came to America?
I spoke the King's English. And
Okay.
so I had to learn the American slang, which I did. It's pretty quick. And my cousin went to school with me, Ronnie, my dad's brother's son.
Wow.
And I went through school at Thomas Starr King for the 7th and 8th grade. Then I went to John Marshall for the 9th through 12th. Graduated, went on to college.
It's amazing to think, Dad, that you basically that you had this experience of being kicked out of your homeland and then accepted by 2 different countries. And have you naturalized now? Are you American citizen now, or?
Yes, for a long time now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So here I am.
I'm so grateful to the people of New Zealand, and I'm so grateful to America for receiving you here. And that was the first step that ended up bringing me here. So.
Exactly.
But I can only imagine what you went through as a child to be so displaced like that. What was it like on the boat from New Zealand to LA?
Well, when you're 11 and a half years old, everything's magical. I never saw a TV. They had TVs on board.
Oh.
And, you know, it was a cruise ship. It was a maiden voyage on the Oriana. And every port was a big deal with a welcoming by every ship in the port. And that's what made it great. And then we landed in Oahu and went to San Francisco. No, we went to Vancouver, then to San Francisco, and then ended at LA Harbor. And here we are.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
It all worked out well. So I'm glad you're going to visit.
Yep.
I hope you get to go to Christchurch.
Yes.
Go to the main city square where all the earthquake damage was, because your dad walked that area for 3.5 years, going to all the Western movies that America made, and me and about 400 other young kids. We all bicycled every Saturday to do that, and so you'll be able to go. This is where Dad walked.
Yeah.
And then go look for our house.
And also, you know, these are the people who received my family when they had been displaced from their home, which is, you know, really quite an amazing thing, especially seeing what's happening in the world today and knowing how many people are displaced from their home and how many people don't have somewhere to go. And it's just wild to realize that that's something that my lineage experienced and that you experienced.
Yes, and you're going to continue.
And you survived.
So if you had a baby in New Zealand, it would really be unusual.
That would be unusual. I don't see that in the plan, but a nice little seed planted there.
Okay. Love you.
Love you, Daddy.
Love.
Mwah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Watch this many times.